Today I want to talk about Forgive Us, a paperback module by Kelvin Green. I think this is one of his earlier works. So the production is not as good as his more recent stuff, but so you might think this is not such a great idea, great module, but it is if you look at the words. And what happens in here makes it for a really cool module. It takes place in Norwich. So there's a map of Norwich and some locations. And there's a particular block where there's a bar in the upper left-hand corner there and several buildings attached to it. And so it gives you floor plans for each of those buildings that are attached to it. There's a ladder. There's one room, somebody hung themselves. Look at the floor plans. Yeah, and there's this dog monster thing in one room. So when I ran this, most of these floor plans didn't get used because my players went pretty quickly to the basement. Here it is, the basement. Didn't notice this till during the play. One of those blood stains looks like a person, doesn't it? Yeah, so here's one section of the basement. And it goes to this other one where there is treasure on tables. And there's also things. And here's like a random loot generator. So if they want to grab something and run, you can randomly roll it and then tell them what they've got once they get safe to where they can. So yeah, there's these creatures with tentacles and swords and eyes. And if they wound you, you start having to make saving throws. And if you fail them, you get infected. And the infection progresses. There's also this other party. They are there for a specific item, and my players did not fight them. They let them take the item they wanted. And so the party later showed up at another game. So this is what happens if you let the monsters out of the basements. They overwhelm the city. In history, it says there was a plague there. This is the plague, and it's a potentially world-destroying plague. So, I was tempted to let them destroy the world, but I realized, I had some powerful figures, NPCs, in my campaign world, and they wouldn't let the world be destroyed. So, they recruited a bunch of the old retired player characters and went to prevent the end of the world, to stop this plague. So that was my second part too. And so there's some mini dungeons too. Like Death and Taxes involves a character the players knew named James Blake has died, so you go to his funeral. So, in order to run this, I had to have James Blake show up and help the players in a previous module. So here's some people that come to the funeral, including Joffrey. Joffrey Cushing is a character who will show up repeatedly in other modules by Kelvin Green. Sort of a Where's Waldo of his modules. So that's Forgive Us by Kelvin Green, published by Lamentations of the Flame Princess.